I thought I'd just show you a little bit of my process here for carving a neck. So I've got the three neck profile samples that I made originally from the donor neck, and well, you can't see what I'm doing. What I'm doing now is I'm getting my very charcoaly, soft, sort of draftsmanly pencil thing, and I'm marking up graphite on the insides of these profiles, and I'm going to use those to map it onto, as I've done already, map it onto the neck. Like, well, I've actually already just done it, so let me carry on. So you may be able to see on the neck there, I've applied it, and I've got some little bit in the way there, so I'm just going to basically carve that a little bit like so, and a little bit wherever it touches, and then on this side just sort of line it up if I can, and then whoops, I go off to this next one. Similar thing applies here. So quite close to near, coming towards the right depth of thing. So you might think, well, how do you know when you're there? The reason I know is because my samples, or my profile template, sits down almost level with the bottom of the neck. And I've also got, for example, if I look at this one here, I've got 21 mils. I'm going to go 2150 to give myself a little margin, and I want to be coming across the top there shortly. Now I can draw a line there if I like, and I can see that I've got a little bit more to go. So I'm going to get downwards bit by bit on these. It's much better to go slowly than to risk overcutting it. We don't have any option to overcut it. So I want to arrive at it through a controlled process of sanding, filing. I was using the Shinto rasp before. Now I'm using whatever this half round file thing. So now I get the template again, and you can see it on there. You may be able to see it. Whoops! Don't fall off there. Let's put you there. Let's put you down. Sorry, I've got visual migraine going on at the moment, so I've got rainbow patterns going over my eyes, would you believe? Okay, so sorry about the shaking camera. Let's try and hold it still. So what I do with my, I don't wind it too much, but I just on back and forth on the spot that I'm on, and you can see it leaves its imprint, a bit like being in the dentist when they've done a filling. So we don't want to go too far, so we just try and more or less rock it on the spot, baby. And what will happen is we'll eventually get down till it's all touching, and that will be when we've got the right thickness as well. And you think, well, look at all of that amazing amount of material you still got to take off. And of course that is a lot of material to take off, but it's all part of the fun. Gosh, anyone else get visual migraines? I get, please, can I please zoom in? Anyone? Yes. I get kind of, I don't get headache, I get a sort of zigzag of rainbow metallic hot metal, molten metal, starting in one side of the field of vision, and then it works its way across. Now at this point we're sort of running into the fingerboard, because it's a very thick fingerboard on this, so we're going to end up needing to be taking down some of the fingerboard as well, so we've got to make sure that we don't ignore it just because it's a bit harder than the maple. I take down the bit that's marked, and then I kind of go either side a bit, just to, I'm using my kind of eye just to make sure it's similarly filed. I don't want it to stick up anywhere, which you can do. You can sort of end up getting a central line that's not been touched. Sorry, a central line that's been worked and a bit of a slope up either side, but I don't want that, so I'm going to keep blending it in. And then finally onto this one. So I'm working the marked up section, and then I sort of try and even it out across the rest of the gap. Now we can get the final more precise shape when we come to scrape it and hand finish. So again, I'm just going to put this on here now, and what I expect to find is this is going to touch down more, and it's coming close to the right overall thickness, and I'll see more of the marker, more of the graphite will be on here as I get closer to both the thickness and the right shape. And that's fine. Ideally we want the whole thing marking all the way around, because that tells us we're pressing down in the right spot. So it's much easier than, I didn't do this on the last one, not with this graphite stuff. I didn't even think about it. I was just visually looking at where the gaps were, but I can see now that we're going to get there easier by using this graphite approach. So in a minute, when the whole of the shape, the whole of the profile is painted with the graphite, then I should also find that I'm up my target thickness as well, because I've basically just duplicated the shape that I'm after. And so once I've got this basic profile, as you can imagine, the next challenge really is just joining these shapes up, and that is harder than you think. It sounds easy, just joining those shapes up. Because there's a lot of material to move, but you know, I've only been doing this about 30 minutes or so, and we've got the shape almost arrived at, the profile arrived at in these 3 sample places, so it's not going too slowly. Whew. Probably need to put some more graphite on there in a minute. And what we don't want to do, obviously, is go below the thickness. I've given a little bit of a margin, as it happens, just so that we're always a bit ahead of the game, or behind the game or something. I don't want to overcut. Now this one, I mean, I'm pretty much mimicking the last one I did, which was fine, but this one, my only concern is that if I go much further down, which I won't, but if I were to go too much further down, I would be coming close to where the truss rod lives. It didn't on the last one, and it shouldn't do on this one. join up. We're just a little bit above the thickness still. Some more dots appearing or more deposits. So we're just about on the thickness of this first one. So we should be seeing this touching most of the way. And you can see that's most of the way around there. So we're very close. So we've got about the right thickness, quite a bit there and a little bit more to go on there. So it's all good stuff. And then once I've got this basic, these sample points done, then we can take it away and do some more tomorrow at home in the sun. Some outdoor whittling kind of work with some scrapers and files and all manner of things. So I'm now kind of sticking with this file because it's more gentle, to believe it or not, than the Shinto rasp, but I'm obviously wanting to keep it as light a touch as possible. Now we're looking at 20.5 is the target, or actually it's 20, it's not 20, it's about, well, 20.5. Yeah, let's call it 20.5. I should probably build in a little bit more spare room. See where we're at, 20.9. Well, we're still about half a millimeter or a millimeter off, which is, we're getting close, but we've got quite a lot of nice leeway. But if you don't forget, I'm going to take down I'm going to radius the fingerboard a little bit more with 240 grit, but that's not going to take it down too much. It's really about polishing it out a little bit and smoothing it off, so not going to take away much in the way of material. So it won't be coming down on the front side much further. So a lot of this from here on inwards becomes very much about feel. And you have to trust your sort of sense of touch to know where you are, and it's lovely because of that. I think it's a great process for, you know, just hands-on satisfaction. So we're kind of coming close to the target depth, and we're getting close to the right shape. Now, really aren't that many other tools I would use in here. The file is kind of good. I've got a couple of slightly thinner, smaller files, but you know, we can now get in there and hit the bits that highlight. Now see, I'm really just clipping off the bits that are showing up as highlighted now, because I'm hoping that we're coming now down towards the final countdown. So I'm really taking my cue from the graphite marks. I'm just working off what it tells me now directly. Now we could basically stop the profiling here and then now next focus on getting the rest of the neck up to meet it, down to meet it I should say, because we're almost on shape now. Yeah, we could bring everything else down to meet it, and then sort of go back to concentrating on the fine details. See, that's mostly, apart from a tiny little bit, it's mostly all the way around on all of these. So again, I'm just going to concentrate on the bits that are visible, and then if we get it down to a almost perfectly where we want it, maybe 1/2 mil too thick still, then we can use that final 1/2 mil to scrape to shape, which is a much nicer way of just bringing down the last little bits. The scraping process is much more scrape touch, very much fingertip or skin led process. Because once we've got this basic profile, it's going to stay close to that from here on in. Let's put some more stuff on here. It's been a warm day, so it's quite warm in here still. I'm warm anyway. Doesn't hurt to keep adding more graphite. You want to get as much of clear markings as we can get. So we're very, very nearly there. And of course we've got the shape here to do, which I might mark out using a little piece of transparency to duplicate the same shape on either side. It's surprisingly not difficult, but you don't want to take a risk of having any asymmetry on this little bit here on the heel. So I got a nice one on the previous one. It felt really nice, so I want to reproduce that. Okay, so have a look at the 20, let's say 20.5 was our final target for overall width, but obviously we're not going to be there yet, but we're not far off. So I'm just going to take this lot of marks down, because I think that's touching pretty much all the way around. I'll take all of this down now, and I will then call that profiled. At this point, I'm just making sure there's no strange humps and bumps either side of where we've got the profile to. That looks good, feels good. I trust that. scrape the rest down after that, nearly there on that side. So that's how I do it. Let us get a piece of acetate. Acetate. Let's cut it. It's only a small detail, but it can really help to keep a symmetry to it. So let's draw a line down the center. So we've got that to there, that to there, and that to there. Something like so. So if I cut it, so we can say, okay, there's our centre line. There's our centre line. And then we can put that there and go like so. Not perfect, but it'll do. And of course what I can do with this is I can, if I don't wish to carve it away, well I can, but we're going to take this off for a second. So I don't know what you can see because I've lost my track here. Okay, got a fairly decent view. So what I can do is I can, well, I've got a mark here already. So I would say I'm going to so we can go from here to so there. Halfway just under, and from there to halfway just under. I can't draw a curved line for the life of me, but the point being is we'll firm it up with feel and look and feel as we carve. So there's our centre line, there's our spare stuff, and that's how we join down. So we could chisel some of that away or gouge some of it away. So when we come here, we've got a line around here which comes out like so. Again, that's on the centre line, that's all. And then we've got this to come away, and then this is going to come away sort of actually quite organically, because it's quite hard to mark that up. But there we are. So we've got all of this to go, all of that to go, and that to go, and that's the process. Could you offer it up to a sanding drum? Yeah, if you had an extractor at the other end, which I don't really have. Might be fun to try. Stick that in there. You stay there, maybe you will. Hold on. Don't get a very good view there, sorry. Picking up any dust at all. Maybe it is, I don't know. I don't like that process. It's slow, it's messy, and if you look at it, what are we really getting out of it? Slow process, really. Could argue maybe the this thing over here might be semi-useful. Let's see. Noisy. So again, eventually, yes, but not controllable, not as controllable as I would like. Worries me. I would rather use what I've got here, the rasps, because it's much more controllable, really. I mean, I could get what's that thing there? could take an angle grinder to it, but if I clip one of those bits there, then that's the whole thing done, you see. So what would the point of that be? It wouldn't be any point at all. And really, how hard is it to stand on my pedestal here and, you know, scrape away in a much more controlled fashion. Yes, it's human energy required, but much more control over it. Probably needs a bit of tape around here to give me a grip, because this always ends up cutting through my poor little fingers. So I can just give myself some downward pressure without knackering my poor fingers. There we go. Yeah, I think that's just slow but controlled. Like I say, not quick, but you know where you are, and you don't make some massive blunder. Obviously, when you get down to anywhere close to where you're going, we'll revert to a different approach. So the question of how we join that to that and keep the thing, it's a sort of mysterious one, but it does work eventually. You get there. Even though it doesn't seem logical, especially if you reach the scraping stage by then. Yeah, eventually. It's worth it, I tell you. So, you can imagine getting it done for you by means of CGI, not CGI, that thing. What do you call that? The computer generated, computer. You know the one. Made by computers, routed by, milled by a computer. the name. Computer. Made on computer. Computerized milling machine. Well, think of all the effort you'd save. Yes, but... Question, I suppose, would be, if I had such a machine, would I use it, or would I choose this process instead? It's hard to know, because you could argue that having done this once to create a master neck, a master model, if you like, that would be the craft, and the machine reproduction would just be that, a machine reproduction. Of course, you could make 100 times more of these once you've made your template or your initial model. You'd be selling loads more and becoming rich. Unlike me, who's standing here and doing it by hand and staying poor. You see, we're almost there. It's a little bit on the wobbly side, as you can see. So a stiffener up there would have been a good idea. But it was a quickly put together jig. Whoops, fell into the hole. Look at that. Getting there. Gone from being a square thing to a round thing. See if we can turn this around and use it the other way around for a second. Would be handy. A bit of a downhill slope, but it should be all right. Now it's a bit of a. Let's use a bench dog. See if that works. probably used to be done the other way round for the clamps. Silly me. Come there. You go on there. Place there. You go there. You go there. Okay. Keep it still with my belly. Stop the wobbling, I tell you. So you can see that we'll get to close to the original, or close to our target, and then it's a matter of doing the rest very carefully by hand. Basically, it's a matter of blending one into the other from here to here, because obviously there's a change along the way. So we're not far off there. Close to it. So a little bit more to do, but I might consider doing that at home. Anyway, I thought that might be vaguely interesting to watch that process. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you soon.